friends, welcome to my channel Chic and Savvy, where we talk about all things relating to planning and budgeting. My name is Carissa, and today we will be budgeting my paycheck for week 1 of November. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's open her up. Oh, we're at the back, almost there. All right, guys. So if you didn't watch my November setup video, we set up my bill calendar. We talked about what's going on this month, a lot of crazy stuff. So I'll kind of just do like a little summary, so that way this video doesn't get way too long. But if you want the full breakdown, go ahead and watch that setup video. But November had a lot of things going on, and so let's go ahead and kind of walk through that, going through some of our goals for this month. So for the month of November, me and my husband want to save for our home purchase, minimize spending, and prep for the end of the year. So goal 1, saving for the house. As you guys know, for the last 6 months or so, I have talked about me and my husband wanting to purchase our first home by the end of the year. And we're getting closer and closer to that goal. So now that we have our debt as lowered as much as we can and our credit scores as high as we can, now we can focus on saving for the actual house. So our goal for this month is to save at least $2,500 by the end of the month. And this is our last month to kind of really save money. So we want to try to save as much as we possibly can, which leads us to minimizing our spending. We want to try to stick with our budget and limit eating out. I wish we could do some kind of like November, no spend November, but that's not really realistic for how we live our life. So as far as like shopping and stuff, we might be able to do that. But as far as buying like other stuff, that would be really hard. So we're just going to try to minimize spending to the lowest we can. And our third goal is to finalize our budget for the end of the year and just all the end of the year stuff. So this month, our budgets are going to look really wonky because the majority of our money is going towards saving for the house. And we're not going to be putting any money towards our other sinking funds, probably just our savings challenges and maybe like the haircut envelope. But all the other envelopes, we're going to take a break for this month. And finalizing the December budget with the purchase of a home, we don't know what any of the numbers are going to be. And we are assuming that our December budget is going to be the first month, hopefully, that we will be in the new house. So we don't know how to even start with the budget for December. We have a rough estimate on what we think things are going to be. But all of the utilities, Wi-Fi, mortgage, insurance, we don't have definitive answers. So it's hard to finalize how the end of the year is going to go when we don't really know. And as far as Christmas goes, I really think we are leaning towards we're going to be celebrating, but not buying gifts like we usually do, because we really want to prioritize the house. And I feel like family and friends will understand that. So we haven't really talked about that much, but I feel like that's the direction we're going to be going in. So those are our goals for November. Lots of craziness happening, but join us for the ride. So let's go ahead and go to our November bill calendar. So we have it here, super cute. We got like a fall cozy, really like a Gilmore Girls theme is kind of the inspiration for this. But I'm really loving this theme. I get this bill calendar from the LittleBirdieCanada. I color it in myself, kind of just copying one of the inspirations she does. And I absolutely love it. So we filled out our bill calendar with all of our bills, the pay dates. And as you can see down here, we have 2 extra paychecks that we are including in our November setup for today. So we weren't able to do our budget overview when doing our bill setup. So we are going to do that today, along with budgeting our first paycheck of the month. So we already had 1 extra paycheck that was on the 24th in this dark brown color. And we paid 1 bill with that, which was the city bill for our credit card. And we paid that early because we wanted to get that down to a certain balance to reflect on our credit score. So that's why we paid it early. But that is the only bill that we paid early with that extra check. So now we are going to be budgeting for the 30th, and that is going to be the first paycheck of this month. We do have another extra check, my extra check. This one was my husband's. And then the one in this caramel color is going to be mine. And when we get to that point, we'll figure out how we're going to approach that. But ultimately, we're just going to be saving money with it. So let's go ahead and do our budget overview. So let's kind of take that out. So we're going to go ahead and fill this out. So I make these sheets myself. I just take inspiration from other budget sheets that I've seen, some templates that I saw on Canva, and then I just make them my own and manipulate them to how it fits our budget and how we do things. And so we do a zero-based budget, which means that every dollar that we earn is allocated into a category. So at the end of the budget, we should have $0 left over. And we also use the cash envelope method. We don't cash stuff our bills, but we do cash stuff our savings and sinking funds. And we keep those in our binders, and we do like a cash envelope stuffing each week. For the month of November, I'm leaning towards not doing any cash stuffings, and that is because I'm gonna put almost like 100% of the money that we have left over towards the house fund. So cash stuffing doesn't really make much sense if I only have 1 or 2 envelopes that I'm cash stuffing. We are going to be continuing to do our savings challenges. So I will have those to cash stuff, but I might just make a short form video for you guys. So that way you still see the progress with those, but I'm not going to dedicate a whole cash stuffing to just that. So for the budget overview, the first section is our income. And this is any income that you earn in the month that you are going to be using for your budget. So for us, we have these 4 paychecks and then the 2 extra paychecks. We are going to write my husband's income, and we're going to use $12.75. My income, which is going to be a little higher for this one, and I'll explain why. And then back to my husband, which is $12.75, and then my income, which is $13.75. Okay, so we have all of these here. I'm going to put a little star next to the ones that are the extra check. Just so we know. Okay, perfect. Now, we get paid pretty much the same exact thing because we both work 80 hours. But this one right here for me is a little bit higher, and that is because, well, let me explain first. We are both bi-weekly employees, and we both are on opposite schedules, which means we get 1 paycheck per week. Now, being on a bi-weekly schedule, if you ever pay attention to your pay stub, if you have benefits taken out, you know that benefits do not get taken out of a cycle 3 paycheck. So what that means is your benefits are divided up between 24 paychecks for the year, even though you get paid 26 paychecks for the year. So that means 2 paychecks do not get your benefits taken out, and you have a little bit extra money on those checks because no benefits are getting deducted. And so that is the case with this paycheck. It is a cycle 3 paycheck, which means my paycheck is going to be higher because I have no medical benefits or voluntary benefits being taken out of that paycheck. So that is why it is a little higher. So let's go ahead and grab my calculator so we can calculate this total. $12.75 plus $17.50 plus $12.75, $13.75, $12.75, $13.75. So we have $8,325 for this month. And that is a lot, and that is because of the 2 extra checks that we have that are kind of at the end of last month and then coming into this month. We're just going to include it all for November. So now that we have our income filled out, now we can move on to our fixed expenses. Fixed expenses are any expenses that you have. They are a fixed amount, so they come out every single month. They are a set amount. They have a set due date. Those are what you include in this section. So that is all of these bills. Now I separate out my debt, and that is just because I like to track it on its own, but that would be included as a fixed expense. So I'm gonna go ahead and write all these in, and then we'll calculate the total together. So I have everything written down here, and the reason that you see Verizon on here twice is that's because right here we have Verizon due on the 3rd, and we don't get our next paycheck until the 5th, and we can't wait that long. So we're gonna pay for December using November funds. And sometimes that's just how it works out, but it ends up washing out in the end because you're gonna have a little bit extra money in December because you're not paying that bill. So it all kind of adds up. So let's go ahead and sum up the total. So we have 263, 20, 15, 35, 364, 11, 80, 11, 263. So we have $1,062. And then let me go ahead and write in the debt, and then we'll calculate that too. Have all of those, so let's add that up. 521, 8.25, 53, 125. Okay, so we have 1,102.25. Perfect. So we already paid that city card, so we can actually put 100 here because we already paid that off. All right, now the next section is our variable expenses. So these are still expenses that you have. Let's get rid of this book really quick. So these are expenses that you have that you still have to budget for and account for, but they're not a part of your fixed expenses. So these are like your grocery budget, your gas, your spending money, your eating out money, household stuff that you need. That all is a variable expense because you do have a little bit more control and a little bit more flexibility with those amounts. So because we still live with my parents, ours are going to look a little different. So we do give them money, and we give them $250 a week, but because we are accounting for 6 weeks here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we have to multiply that by 6. So it's going to be $1,500. And then we give our moms money, and so we give them $50 a week. So that would be $300. I'm so sorry, I blanked. It wasn't making sense for a second, but now it is. And we are gonna do my husband's spending. And so this is actually getting reduced. I think I mentioned this before that when we move into the house, we're gonna reduce both of the amount of money that we get each week. And we're gonna start that now, so that way it's not a drastic change. So we're gonna be doing $20 each. So that is going to be $120. And we're not going to be doing household this month or self-care for myself. And that is because we don't need any household items right now, because we're going to save it for when we move. And as far as self-care goes, I usually used it to get pedicures, but I think I'm going to take a break for just this month, so that way we can put that money towards the house. So we have my spending, his spending, and then we have gas. And then we usually budget 50, but we never spend 50. So we're actually going to just start with 45. And so 45 times 6 is 270. And then we have eating out. And this usually gets 30, but we are going to move it down to 20. So that's 120. And then we have our fun money. And this is also getting moved to 20 as well. And then we have donations. We usually donate $5 a week, and so that's going to be 30. And then my husband's lunches. He gets 30 a week, so that is 180. Yes. So let's go ahead and add those up. So we have 1,500, 300, 120, 120, 270, 120, 120, 30, 180. So that is $2,760. Perfect. So now that we have all of our totals, we can determine how much we have left over to put towards our sinking funds and our savings challenges. So we're going to take our income, subtract our fixed expenses, subtract our variable expenses, and our debt. So that is how much we have left over to put towards savings and sinking funds. Now, our goal was to put $2,500 into our house fund. So that's definitely something that we're going to be able to accomplish because we, oh my gosh, sorry. Because we have enough money to cover that. And our goal was also, if you guys remember a few weeks ago, with this first extra check, we paid off some debt, the rest of the debt that we needed for that city card. So we had extra debt. I usually never write anything in here, but we're going to write this for now. So the extra debt that we had to pay, it was $595, and we paid that. And we want to put $2,500 towards the house. So let's see. Perfect. And so if we subtract $2,500, we have $305 left over, and that's the money that we're going to use to put towards our savings challenges. So that's kind of the real money that we're working with after we prioritize these two things, and we already did that, and now we're doing that. So that is how that money is going to get spent. Perfect. So now that we have our budget overview section ready, we know what the month is going to look like, and we are going to be able to accomplish our goals if we stick with our budget and basically live within the means of what we've dedicated towards it. So now we can go ahead and budget for our first paycheck of November. All right, guys, so we have our paycheck planner sheet here. It's exactly the same thing as the budget overview, except for we are using this for one paycheck, and that is going to be our first paycheck of November, which was on the 30th. And so that is right here in red. So how the bill calendar works is anything that's in the same color as the payday is going to get paid with that paycheck. So here it is in red, and any bill that you see in red, we are going to pay and budget for today. So payday was October 30th, and it was my income. And this was the check that the benefits did not get deducted because it was a cycle 3. So we're gonna budget with $17.50. Perfect. So now we can go ahead and take a look at what our fixed expenses are for this week. So we have Verizon, and that is $263. And then we have a debt, so we're gonna wait on that, and then we have the PlayStation subscription. And that is 20. And so debt goes on this side, so we're gonna put the debt here, and we aren't paying towards this right now, so it's 0, and so 0. Now for our fixed expenses, the total is gonna be $283. Perfect. So let's go ahead and get rid of this again because we used it for the bills. Now we can do our variable expenses. So we have our typical, basically what we just wrote. Oh, I forgot moms. I'll write it down here. That's what happens when I try to go too fast. So we have parents, and that is $250. We have moms, and that is $50. And then we have my husband's spending at, did I say 20 or 25? Oh, that's why it was off. Okay, it's $25. That's why I was confusing myself. Yeah. Okay, I wrote 300 because that's correct. So we're gonna do 25 and then 25 for me. And then gas is going to be 45. And then eating out and fun times, that is 20. Donations is 5. And lunches is 30. Perfect. The math wasn't mathing, and now it is. So we have 250, 25, 25, 45, 20, 25, 30, and 50. I'm off by $10. Oh, no, guys, I was right. I'm losing it. I'm so sorry. I did do 20. Okay, minus 10. 460. Okay, disregard what I said. It's making sense. I'm confusing myself. This is why I can't do 2 budget with me's in one, because the numbers are all adding up now. But we're back on track. It's 20 and 20 for 460. My goodness. Okay, so now that we have all of our sections filled out, now we can determine how much we have left over to put towards sinking funds and savings. So we're going to take our income, subtract our fixed expenses, subtract our variable expenses, and our debt, which we don't have any. And so this is the amount we have left over. Perfect. Now, this stuff is not typical. If you guys watch my budget with me's before, typically we have like $300 to put towards savings, but because we have those 2 extra checks this month, we are going to have a lot of leftover money, which is great. And if that is how you choose to do that, follow the method that works for you. But this is how we choose to dish out our paydays and our paychecks and do our bills. So it's just working out that way. So we have that much left over. And like I said, we are not going to be divvying this money up into all of the different categories. We're going to just stick with our priority, which is putting the money in future home. Now we didn't do our sinking funds last week. We are going to do them, our savings challenges last week. We are going to do them this week. And then at the end of the month, we're going to double up 1 week because of the week that we missed. So we are going to do our savings challenge, our Saveopoly challenge, and our monthly challenge. And those are the only things that we are going to be budgeting for this week. So let's go ahead and get our Saveopoly, see what we are going to save for. So technically we are in week 44, but we're going to just disregard that for now because we're going to double up on one of the weeks this week. It's just not this week. And we're going to see what we are going to save. So before we were at 32, and I don't even remember where that is. Okay, right here. So it was the blue property. So let's go ahead and roll and see where we're gonna go next. So we got 6 and 4, so 10. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we got the question mark, which is 15. Let's make sure that's right. Perfect. So we are going to be saving $15 this week, and I get this from the LittleBirdieCanada. It's a year-long challenge. I absolutely love it. It's super fun. I'm going to try to incorporate this next year, but I'm going to be doing it a little different, but I still want to do it because I love it. So stay tuned for that. So we are going to be saving $15 for our Saveopoly. And then our savings challenge, it's going to get its usual 10. And for our monthly challenge, we're going to go ahead and do 15. Now, let's see how much that is. So we're going to subtract 10, 15, and 15. So we have $967 left over. So all of that money is going to go into our future home. So that way we are left with 0. Perfect. So that is everything that we are going to be putting this money that's left over into for this week. We really are focusing on this future home because we want to hit our goal of $2,500 saved at the end of the month. So let's get our planner back out so we can put this in there. Sorry guys, my phone cut out. Of course it ran out of storage. And a good thing that we just finished up with the savings and sinking funds, but I put 0 down here and I changed it because it should equal this total, but after that we have used all of our funds and it comes to 0, so I made that adjustment. But we are done with budgeting our first paycheck, so we are all good to go, and that is it. We are all good for the week. A lot of crazy things coming this month, so just be along for the ride because I'm even going to be going kind of crazy too. But I want to thank you all for being by my side throughout this journey, and I can't wait to see where life takes us. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye, friends.